Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of Wild Moments. My name is Kelly, as you can see on the screen. And this afternoon, I'm very excited to present you with Mr. Ben Coley. Welcome, Ben Coley. How are you?
Thank you, Ms. Kelly Oldacre. It is wonderful to be here. Hello, everybody. Very happy to be back. And I'm doing very, very well. Thank you. Currently in the Timbavati doing some astronomy training for guides. As you can see, I'm lording it up in my beautiful surroundings. But yeah, lovely to be back.
Tough life, hey, Ben, tough life.
We do what we have to do, Kelly. We do what we have to do.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. And thank you, everyone that's watching, for joining us as well. Remember, this is a live and interactive show. We've got some fabulous clips for you this afternoon. But before that, let's see who we have joining us. Amber CO or Amber Co, waving hello. I'm so grateful to the Explorer Africam for creating these interactive shows. What a special week we have. Thank you, all of you behind the scenes, waving hello to Ben and Kelly. We're waving back. Amber CO.
Hello.
And thank you for sharing our knowledge. Coffee as you watch today. Congratulations on your coffee. I have a fairly generic sugary drink, which we're not going to talk about. Casper's third ghost, good morning and afternoon, Kelly and Ben, and hi to all. Hot tea today, ready for the show. Excellent. It's quite warm here today, so I've gone for a cool beverage today. Ben, what have you got to drink?
I'm ashamed to say that I have just finished a small can of Coca-Cola. Also, just to get the sugar up, so I've got some energy for today's show. Lots to talk about.
Absolutely. Good choice. Jean Gale, hello from Seattle with clear blue skies and hot coffee. Ben's favourite, clear blue skies. I know it's quite
Yeah, not hot coffee.
Clear skies work though. Karu, hi Ben and Kelly. You have milk again. Good choice on the milk again, Karu. Thank you for joining us. April Al, good morning everyone from sunny Connecticut with my cherry iced tea. I think I might get me some of that soon, some cherry iced tea. So excited for the Cheetah family. I know, right? I'm going to be honest. I haven't actually watched any of it because I wanted to wait and watch it together with everyone that's out there in case anyone has missed our very exciting Cheetah family update. W. Bouchard, hello, Ben and Kelly. Hello, W. Bouchard. Thank you very much for joining us. MG Leopard Spots, hi there from Bay Area, CA. Coffee and iced water. Excellent selection of beverages.
Plenty of people joining us.
Lots, but please keep joining us, keep sending in your thoughts, your comments, and what you're drinking and where you are. But I would really like to get stuck into today's clips. I know lots of people that have been watching. Have you heard what's been happening, Ben?
I have, and I have seen some of the footage. I couldn't help myself when I heard what it was that we were discussing and watching. I could not go and have a little look. So yeah, I won't give anything away, just in case people are joining us who don't know what we're talking about. But yeah, it has been a pretty amazing last 24, 48 hours.
I'm very excited to get going. So I think let's jump in and see what we have got for you. Oh my goodness.
That is one little tiny baby cheetah. How incredible to be able to witness the actual birth of a baby cheetah.
That is absolutely insane. I think this is the female cheetah Tammy, who's over across at HESC, Hoodspray Endangered Species Centre, I think, the acronym HESC. And this is indeed a live birth. I often get asked if I've seen live births, and I always say no, not of anything whatsoever. But cheetah, wow.
Now, I've also never seen. I've seen impala, the aftermath of the birth. I've seen the
Mm.
impala on the ground. I've seen mum cleaning the afterbirth off. I must have missed it just by
Yep.
seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the closest and one rather unpleasant one where a buffalo calf had become stuck half
Oh,
in and half out and had to be sort of rescued. I suppose that does count. But other than that, the only thing I've ever seen giving birth was So I had some squirrels mating outside my window.
Oh, how exciting.
It's some guinea pigs. My guinea pig I
Ah,
watched give birth many, many, many years ago when I was a child. But yeah, to see a cat, it's normally such a secretive thing out in
oh,
the
look at
wild.
this
Oh,
little
look,
one
look,
down on
look,
the
look.
bottom. Look, look, look.
And I've just had a notification just popped up right in the way. Tiny little things. But I think, as we said, this is about the size of a small guinea pig, a baby cheetah, but absolutely adorable. And
What
it's
an
normally such a secretive thing happening in the
uh,
rocks or in some incredibly thick vegetation. To actually be able to witness it and see such little tiny things is really incredible.
and look at those. Look at those images. The amount of times I've loitered around various animals, all animals, but it's an instinct thing, Ben. I don't know if you agree, but the amount of times I've tried to photograph baby animals of of anything, right from domestic puppies all the way through to lion cubs, all the way through to young baby elephants, that mums shield them all the time. They stand in
Yeah.
front and they position themselves in such a way, and absolutely, that's their job. But look at these images; it's so hard to get, and look how mobile they are already.
I'm also surprised at that because I thought when baby cheetahs, came out that they were, I mean, utterly, I wouldn't say utterly useless. That sounds harsh, but I mean they can barely move around.
Look,
These
look,
ones can
look!
sort
Did
of
you see that?
wriggle around, but I thought they would be a little bit more helpless than, I mean, not that these are going to get away from anything, but they're slightly more mobile than I was expecting them to be.
Look! They can score. Well, I suppose they have to be partially mobile to get to nipples to feed.
I suppose, yeah,
But look,
would
look!
make sense.
That is absolutely incredible.
Well, then, in
And
fairness, that one on the left seems to be
I,
completely flummoxed by a piece of grass and is and is stuck. So perhaps we're giving them more credit.
shame. Look, that is a perfect screen image of
Mm.
literally a live cheetah bird. It's just astounding.
That one's still getting a proper bath, get rid of that afterbirth. So, of course, that's all good for circulation and everything else in those early minutes. But you can even sort of see the little spot pattern. I know they normally don't really. What you can't really see is that grey mantle that they're famous for. I don't even see that as developed yet. Maybe that's because it just needs to have a little
A
bit
little
of
bit flat
time
and
for everything
sticky.
to dry out. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I can actually see more spots. I expected them to have less markings, but I can
Mm.
certainly see the beginnings of spots already, just at this very, very young stage.
Dean NC, good morning from Seattle with your hot coffee. Excited for the show today. So have we been. I can assure you. Bridget McKinney, hi Ben and Kelly from a 32 degrees in Arizona. Oh, I'm really glad when that closed. I didn't have my nose against the screen like this, looking at baby cheetahs, but that is absolutely incredible. I think the youngest cubs I've ever seen, 8 or 10 weeks of a big cat in the wild. But I'm also quite surprised as to how mobile they are and how clear those markings are. Um, Bridget McKinney, I can't believe she gave birth outside. I know it's everyone was also surprised that she wouldn't go into a hidey place, but she's obviously very comfortable, very relaxed, and didn't feel the need to go and hide, which is really good for it shows how those cheetah are feeling there. W Butcher, they're so adorable. I love watching them and they're always rolling around. I believe we might have another clip of these little ones. So if we pop in and have a look at this second clip, we will see what we can see. Oh, they are very much rolling around. W Bouchard.
Is it me, or do they have quite large faces in comparison to the rest of their bodies? Well, maybe it's just because there seems to be a lot more contrast, but you can see the tear lines are a lot more developed than I thought they would be. And yeah, look at those little spots. We keep saying that they're more mobile than we thought, but in fairness, they're not exactly covering a great amount of ground. So you can see why they need some help. But I think what you said is very poignant there, Kelly. I know you like your animal behavior stuff, but for her to have the confidence in her surroundings, to have
Mm,
them outside in an exposed area like that, shows that she must be very comfortable in terms of dangers and things in that area. But,
mm. Well, it's got that far, or maybe she's walked away from it, but maybe is that thing squiggled that far?
I would
That
have
little.
thought, I reckon I don't think it would have got that far.
Oh, where's the
I think
others?
she's gone for a bit of having a break already. What have I got myself into?
Um, Probably I would imagine I'm not gonna lie, I haven't checked, but I would imagine very similar developmental stages and very clear developmental stages to kittens of domestic cats. Um, Eyes opening, become more mobile, they wean. Oh, is she going to go and get it now? Where's the other? Get back over here. Unceremonious. Get back there.
Oh, maybe it did wander. All the other ones are there, so maybe it did, as you said, squiggle its way over there. There's always one who's a little bit more keen to explore than the rest, but eyes
Where's
surely
my?
were still closed. I think the eyes only open after about a week and a half or so, so
Mm.
very much reliant upon other senses.
JJ, these cubs call and cry. Would they do that in the wild? Yes, she would try and prevent it as much as possible by keeping them all in one place. It's part of bonding. It's part of that connection, especially if they're away from her, they will be calling for heat, for comfort. It's why people are often surprised when they get a new puppy and they stick it in a pen on its own, it cries. It's not surprising. It's seeking warmth, it's seeking comfort, and these little ones will be doing exactly the same thing. Um, but they will try it. JJ, she won't want them noisier than they need to be because they would obviously attract predators or it could be dangerous for the cubs. Have you ever heard cheetahs? Oh my God, that made me jump. There's a massive kudu like 10 meters away. I'm so glad I didn't find them. There's three massive female kudus there. I didn't see them coming. Oh, that could have gone wrong. Um,
Sorry, you were saying before you
yeah,
got it
oh,
right?
yeah, got it right there. Have you ever heard young cubs vocalizing? What have you when they've been very, very
Well,
small?
not to that stage. I was thinking earlier, cheetahs are not something that we get to see. I mean, been fortunate enough to work in the bush for many years, and baby cheetahs do not come across, or you do not come across very often. So, I mean, I'm talking. I think the last time that I saw some was about 2 years ago, actually in the Timbavati, and prior to that, I'm probably going back another 4 years. Very hard to gauge in terms of what age those cheetahs would have been that I saw, but I think probably maybe about 4 months.
Mm.
They were this sort of size. They had that very characteristic mantle down the back. Um, and I don't remember them vocalizing particularly. They were just sitting with mum, but it's always surprised me just how high pitched the noise of even an adult cheetah is. They're almost a bit like wild dogs. They kind of sound like birds, and they make that sort of "Nyah" noise, which is just not the noise that you would expect to hear from a cheetah. But I agree with you. I think it's quite normal for them to vocalize, wanting support and reassurance. But yes, too much of anything is not such a good thing. And with such a high mortality rate for young cheetahs due to you look as if you're watching those kudu very carefully.
I think
Um,
she's going to come and drink out the bird bath. Like, there's like 6 adult kudu, and I think she's going to come and drink out the bird bath for the first time ever. Sorry, everyone, but I'm very excited by this.
so we're all getting a little bit distracted from the cheetahs. But yeah, I don't have never heard them. No, because I think I've only ever seen what I would consider to be young cheetah cubs twice in the last 10 years at least.
No, it's very unusual to see. Um, Lily May, Ohio, 2013. Life is amazing. It is indeed amazing but to see that live is just phenomenal. It's just something you otherwise don't get to see. And W. Butcher, just saying those cubs go rogue quite often and wiggle quite a distance. I've got no doubt, and they will be quite difficult to manage, especially with four. I think is 3 or 4 about an average number. I think it is. I've
Yeah,
seen
I think for
female.
cheetahs 4 is average, but I read somewhere that they can have up to 8. The two groups that I remember seeing in the last decade have both been 4. So I would say yes, that does seem to be the average. But imagine having 8 of those things. It's not so bad when they're just wiggling around. I imagine you can contain them. But once they start getting excited and exploring their natural surroundings, yeah, that must be all hands on deck, certainly.
Handful or a mouthful. Trainer Matt 51, good morning from Metro Charlotte NC. Can the little one see? Sorry if it's already been asked. I'm just joining. That's okay. Next time don't be late. Not yet. When did you say, Ben? About 2
I think
weeks?
it's 10 days approximately. 10,
Mhm.
10 to 12 days or so for their eyes to open. So yeah, when born completely altricial, completely helpless, can't see, will be dependent entirely on smell and sound to interpret their world. It'd be interesting to know what their visual acuity is like when the eyes do open. I don't know if there's been any research done on that, how long it takes them to begin to be able to interpret their world visually. But yeah, so about a week and a half, I think, until the eyes actually open.
Bridget McKinney's asking, was she artificially inseminated? No. And they do have an excellent breeding program there at HESC, and it's natural. There's no artificial insemination that I'm aware of, and it's all from natural pairings or natural matings. W. Butchard, you're always amazed at how gentle the mother is with her big mouth lifted and carrying those babies. I'm even more stunned when lionesses do it because they've got even bigger, more powerful mouths, and indeed hyenas. It doesn't always,
Crocodiles.
yeah, crocodiles. So it doesn't always look particularly delicate, but obviously does the job. Oh wow! I was just going to say we've been talking about cheetahs for quite a long time. Jean Gale, wow, it does look like the cub did squiggle away. Yes, this is what these cubs are going to be doing for the foreseeable future. They're going to be squiggling away.
I think just sorry, Kelly, to interrupt you just before we go too far from that question that who was asking about the insemination. I've been fortunate enough to go to HESC a couple of times, and I was trying to remember exactly how they do it. But they have an area called Lover's Lane, which is rather poignant. That when a female comes into estrus, they put her in that area, and then there are males sort of in the neighbouring area, and they monitor the behavior between them, and if a male shows interest in a female and vice versa, they will pair them up for a few days and see if magic happens, but they don't force it. And I think Kirsten was saying that although Tammy is now 9, this is the first litter of cubs that she has had. So whether that's anything to do with the fact that being in captivity, maybe she has been less confident to choose a mate, or whether that's had any sort of suppressants on her hormonal system or anything, I'm not so sure. But for those who are interested and follow it, I believe the male in question's name is Spotless. So Spotless, whether he is spotless or not, I'm not sure, but Spotless is the father of those cubs. But they do leave it very, very natural. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. They don't try and force the matter.
No, I believe that. That's exactly what my understanding is as well. Jingo, oh no, 8, so much work. Yeah, that's a lot of squiggly cheetah cub. Okay, I think let's move on. We do have an update on this python, which I've seen a few times now, and I'd definitely like to find out what is going on with this python.
The porcupine in the background as well.
So this python, actually also saw it a few days ago. I think this is the same python that was injured not too long. Oh,
Careful.
oh, crikey!
Ooh,
Oh,
look at that. The elephant's standing over it, almost like he knew he was there. I'm surprised the elephant didn't react more to the python there. You would have thought the elephants somehow, I don't think, would appreciate the python, but almost looked as if it purposely stepped over it. Probably thought it was a log, I suppose.
well, thank goodness it did.
Oh, yeah, I see that one had a look and said, not sure about that.
It's actually surprising we don't see. Is that the best place for that python to hang out? When I saw it recently, I thought this is the same python, I believe, that was it had a eating incident, got something stuck, it had an injury, and it was scooped up to be rehabilitated. And I believe it was re-released at the weekend, and this is where it's been hanging out. But yeah, especially if I was a little bit slower. I mean, all snakes, they can move, but not quick enough to get out of the way of an elephant. And I wonder, because I know there was an injury um, to, towards the back end of this snake as well. And I wonder if that maybe isn't what happened. Maybe it got, I mean, partially stood on, because if it got fully stood on, it doesn't matter how big the snake is, it's not gonna come back from that. But maybe something like that happened. That's what caused the injury in the first place. Um, but the snake hasn't moved despite these elephants here.
No, I can't decide what I'm more surprised about. The fact that the snake isn't thinking, maybe this isn't the best place to be. Or I think I'm even more surprised that the elephants are so indifferent about it. I mean, I know elephants and snakes probably don't have that much interaction, but I have read stories once of a boomslang that wrapped itself around the trunk of an elephant, possibly while it was feeding, and this elephant went ballistic. Apparently, it's running around, you know, waving its trunk everywhere, trying to get rid of this thing, and eventually managed to do so and stomps the boomslang into oblivion. Obviously, that's
Hmm.
slightly different if it's wrapped around your trunk. But I mean, elephants get jumpy at things that they don't know and things that are a bit different and unusual. I'm very surprised. If that youngster went to have a little look and you saw him sort of back up and go, perhaps not. But I thought there would be a little bit more attempts to sort of shoo it out of the way, especially one that size.
I mean, they
I guess
chase
it's no real
everything. They
danger.
chase they chase
Yeah,
ducks, don't they? I'm surprised they
exactly.
didn't. I'm surprised they didn't chase that way. So, just an update. The kudus have gone, but that's the first time I've had adult kudus here. And there was a tiny little one. So sorry, you have my full attention again. That was very exciting. It's all just crazy. But I'm glad to see that python is back in its home environment. Um, I also would have thought there'd be more of an interaction, maybe a strike from the python as a deterrent, and then there would have been a bit of a and some dispersal, but there's absolutely nothing. I see Cairo saying it was close, Cairo. It made me go, ooh. Jack de Boer, African rock python. Now, Jack, it's a southern African python, and I went and checked in my reptile book extensively because I've been tripped up many, many times on various common names of various things. And my African reptile identification guide calls it a Southern African python. So I'm sticking with that.
That is
Ben,
the, I think that is the new correct terminology. I mean, common names are common names. There's no official sort of right or wrong, and what you call it in one country might be something different. Look at birds. I mean, that's why they keep changing the names of birds to try and make them universal so that research people can do it. But yes, it used to be the African rock python, but I believe now it's official, unofficial common name is South African python. But yeah, it'll probably change again next year.
Southern African python. It's yeah. But Jack, if you said African rock python, we'd know exactly what you meant. Let's put it that way. But it's really nice to see that python's obviously recovered enough. It's been fixed up. It's been released, and let's hope it stays safe out there. But I think pythons, they do not really territorial as such, but they do very much have clearish home ranges. And I know there was a python that was well known for taking birds off the branch or out the air at Rosie's Pan. So maybe we're going to have a nice resident Southern African python there. That would be very, very cool.
Especially one that size, if it is going to take out another impala, we might suggest that it goes for a female to avoid what happened to it last time. But yeah, amazing if we can get regular views of that big python. You don't see big pythons like
No,
that very often.
no, it's beautiful. Okay, we've got 5 minutes left. I think we have got time for and uh, someone's just said maybe the python should leave the porcupines alone as well. Kirsten, yeah, I agree. This python is maybe, should I say it? Maybe not the, maybe not the sharpest python. I'm playing with porcupines and trying to swallow male impalas, but we shall see. It's obviously survived this long. So yeah, maybe someone should suggest that python backs away from the porcupines. I think we've got time for one more quick clip. Let's sneak one in there, shall we, Ben?
Let's do it.
Ooh, I haven't seen wild dogs for a long time. It's been quite a while, but that dog has got a pretty. It looks like there's an injury on its side there, like towards the underneath of its belly.
There's definitely some red, and the tail looks a bit scraggly. Certainly, I was fortunate enough to see wild dogs this morning and last night, so I've got one up on you there. Saw a pack
Okay,
of
well, I
4.
had kudu, so that's fine.
You did have
It's not
kudu. Kudu at your
not
house is
competition.
probably better than dogs in the reserve.
A kudu in the garden is better than 2 dogs in the bush.
I don't know if we'll get a closer view. It's difficult to see. I can just kind of see the
It
reddish
is.
color. Whether or not that is a laceration, is that blood on the fur? I can't really make it out. I don't know if your picture's any clearer.
No,
But
it
I'm trying
looks
to see
like
if
it does
that's
look like it's like a quite a clear. It looks like a cut, but you're right. I didn't actually notice that tail, Ben. That tail has been through the ringer as well.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I just feel like if that was a cat, wild dogs don't have much fat on them. And if that was a claw or something, then it would have brutal, but I'm sure that would have just disemboweled it. The chances of a claw stopping um, a tiny through that tiny layer of skin, to me, it would be an incredible stroke of luck if that claw didn't penetrate that tiny little layer of skin. And I'm just wondering if the tail was also a bit mangled up like that. What do you think might have done that, Ben?
Well, just looking at the evidence there, it's hard to know for sure because I can't see anything too clearly. But if that is like a long laceration, as you said, which kind of does look like it, the only thing I could think of is that if something was chasing it, maybe a lion's nipping at its tail, so that's why it lost a little bit of the fur there, and maybe tried to swat it with a paw, and maybe just so one claw got in and ripped through the skin there, but not deep enough, as you said, which was a lucky escape. Because I agree, it's
Mm.
very, very thin there. I'm not sure how much. I guess there's some loose skin there. If you think of the way I'm thinking, oh, mind out for the car. The way the dog is uh, designed, there's a bit of loose skin that sort of hangs
Yeah,
over on
maybe.
itself under the groin there. So maybe it just sort of ripped through it and did give it a laceration. But that coupled with the damage that looks like it's been done to the tail, to me looks like it was being chased by something. Like a hyena's claw
Mm.
wouldn't be able to do that. If a hyena's got its mouth around it, I think it would have done a lot more damage. So best I can come up with is grabbing at the tail, and yeah, maybe just a slash of a claw through the guts there. But it's limping, but it looks okay. And these
Yeah,
things have a
it's
way of keeping wounds clean, and I think it'll probably be okay.
Tim saying, why is it alone? It could have been a pretty manic chase. I'm not sure when that would have happened. I would assume maybe during the night, maybe it got split up from the pack. Um, I'm not sure. Hopefully, it'll rejoin its friends unless it's maybe a breakaway member of a pack from somewhere. I'm not sure what the pack dynamics are there at Nkoro. Maybe if it's a breakaway member, could have been how it got itself in that situation in the first place because it didn't have his buddies there. Oh man, ouch. Hi, Grumpy old man. Nice to hear from you. Ouch, indeed. Cairo, that looks awful, poor thing. W. Butchard, what's the difference between a wild dog and a painted dog? Ben, would you like to answer that?
I can answer that. Nothing. In terms of common names, so the African wild dog, the African painted dog, its Latin name, Lycaon pictus, means painted wolf. So there are lots of common names to describe it, but it is the same thing. There is only one species, certainly that I'm aware of. I mean, you get things like dingoes, you get the Ethiopian wolf, you get the deholes, or however you say them, doles in the India area, which are all wild dog in terms of their
Canine.
behavior, or they're canines that are wild and hunt for themselves. But we only have the one species out here. Closest thing, I suppose, for us will be a jackal to a wild dog.
Yep, I agree. Bridget McKinney, it looks like a chunk was taken out. Yeah, it was difficult to see, Bridget. I've said a couple of times, I'm overdue a new laptop. It was quite pixelated. I can't work out if it was a chunk or a rip or a slice or what it was.
It looked like a reddish area with a line going through it, but I also couldn't really distinguish anything specific in there.
No, it's but fingers crossed. I know those. I know wild dogs are often seen in similar areas, even if they don't hang around for long. They often move through areas or similar sort of areas. So maybe we will get an update on that individual, and hopefully he or she, I also couldn't tell that, will recover successfully. Fingers crossed. But yeah, if that was indeed a lion claw, it would have been like this much different. Oh, I can't see it on the screen. Like this much would have made a difference between a complete disemboweling or a little bit of a nasty cut. So that dog was either very lucky or very unlucky.
Just saying that the good thing is with dogs, they are very attentive. If it is part of a pack and not migrating away from its natal pack, as you suggested, if it is part of a pack, maybe there were others there, we couldn't see them. Maybe it'll meet up again. That they do look after their sick. If they can't come out on the hunt, they will regurgitate food for the youngsters, for injured individuals. So if she is part of a pack, I have no doubt that it will be looked after, and it will still have access to food, assuming the other members of the pack are successful in hunts. It's a very I can't think of the word, but a very close-knit community in dogs. They look after their own.
They do. They do indeed. Well, that is all we've got time for this afternoon or this morning or this evening or whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. Coley, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this afternoon. It's been an absolute joy having you here.
Thank you very much. It has been a great pleasure to be here, to see and converse with you, and to hear from everybody. And I think we would all agree that was pretty spectacular. It's not every day you get to see a live birth of a cheetah cub, something that I don't think many of us will ever have the opportunity to see in the wild, that's for sure. So very, very special.
No, that's right. But thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon. It's been a pleasure. We will see you back here next time, and stay safe out there.